The first scream came from the little girl's raw, cracked lips, high-pitched, terrified, and desperate enough to freeze every soul in the crowded parking lot. "Daddy, please help her." The sound cut through the night like glass breaking. People turned. Phones lifted. No one moved. And that's when a quiet man in worn-out jeans, gripping his daughter's shaking hand, finally let go, because in that single moment, the single dad everyone ignored stopped being invisible. Ethan Cole had learned how to disappear. After his wife died, after the medals were boxed and buried in the back of a closet, after the nightmares came so often he stopped sleeping, he chose to live small. He worked construction when he could, drove deliveries when he had to, and spent every extra second being both mother and father to 8-year-old Mia. He avoided crowds, avoided attention, avoided the life he once lived. Tonight, he was only at the strip mall because Mia wanted ice cream. That was it, just a dad trying to keep a tiny promise to a child who had already lost too much. Then they heard the screaming from the far end of the lot. 5 men had cornered a young woman near her car. She was sobbing, gasping, trying to scream through a hand clamped across her mouth. One man laughed, another filmed, the others closed in like wolves. People stood frozen at a distance, whispering, afraid. Someone muttered, "Call the police." No one stepped forward. Mia's nails dug into Ethan's hand so hard it hurt. "Daddy, she's scared," she whispered, her voice breaking. The men didn't see Ethan. They never saw the danger that doesn't announce itself. But Mia saw everything. She saw her father's shoulders tighten. She saw his breathing change. And when she cried, "Daddy, please help her," something inside Ethan broke, and something else woke up. "Close your eyes," he told Mia softly. She clung to his jacket, but he gently moved her behind a parked truck. "No matter what you hear, don't come out," he said. His voice was calm, too calm, the calm of a man walking back into a storm he once survived. Then he turned, and walked straight toward the 5 men. At first they laughed at him. "Walk away, old man," one sneered. Ethan didn't stop, didn't speak. He simply moved, fast. The first man lunged, and dropped before he ever understood what hit him. Not a punch, a precise strike to the nerve cluster below the jaw. The second pulled a knife. That mistake ended in less than a second. The blade clattered onto asphalt as the man screamed, wrist shattered. The third charged. He never reached Ethan. The fourth and fifth tried to surround him. For 10 seconds, the parking lot erupted into chaos, bodies slamming into concrete, breath driven out of lungs, bones meeting unforgiving ground. 5 men went down, hard, silent, broken, and the woman collapsed to the pavement, sobbing, shaking, free. Ethan checked her for injuries with hands steady from a lifetime of training. "You're safe," he told her. "It's over." The crowd finally rushed in. Phones recorded. Sirens wailed in the distance. Only when Ethan heard Mia's voice crying his name from behind the truck did his hands start to tremble. By the time the police arrived, the story had spread through the crowd like wildfire. 5 attackers hospitalized. One quiet dad standing in the middle of it all. Officers cuffed him, unsure who the hero was and who the threat might be. Mia ran forward screaming, "That's my daddy. He saved her." The rescued woman, still shaking, pointed at Ethan with tears streaming. "He saved my life. Please don't take him." They were about to put Ethan in the back of the patrol car when the rumble of a heavy black military SUV rolled into the lot. The crowd parted, doors opened, and out stepped a tall man in full uniform, his chest heavy with ribbons, his posture unyielding, his presence commanding immediate silence. The Marine general had arrived. The officers snapped to attention, stunned. The general's eyes locked on Ethan. For a long moment, neither man spoke. Then the general did something no one expected. He walked forward, stopped in front of Ethan, and saluted him. "Staff Sergeant Cole," the general said loudly, his voice carrying across the crowd. "You never learned how to quit, did you?" Gasps rippled through the parking lot. Ethan's face drained of color. The past he had buried just slammed into the present. "Sir," he said quietly. The general turned to the officers. "This man is a former Navy SEAL temporarily assigned to Joint Marine Operations. Decorated. Honorable discharge. Medical. He saved lives tonight exactly the way he saved them overseas." The cuffs came off. Mia ran into her father's arms like a storm of tears and shaking breath. The general knelt in front of her and said, "Your daddy is a hero." She wiped her face with her sleeve and said proudly, "I know." The woman Ethan saved hugged him, sobbing into his chest. "You didn't have to help me," she whispered. Ethan looked down at his daughter. "Yes," he said quietly. "I did." In the days that followed, the story spread everywhere. Headlines called it a miracle, a mystery hero, a silent warrior. Donations poured in for the woman's medical bills. The attackers faced serious charges. And offers came for Ethan. Security jobs, consulting, private protection work. For the first time in years, the world wasn't looking past him. But the moment that changed everything didn't happen on the news. It happened one night when Mia crawled into his lap, curled into his chest, and said, "Daddy, I was really scared. But when you stood up, I knew she was going to live." Ethan held her tighter than he ever had. For the first time since his wife died, he cried without shame. He realized something powerful that night. Being strong had never been about war or medals. It had always been about standing up when the moment demanded it, even if your hands are shaking. Weeks later, the Marine general returned. Not with cameras, not with uniforms, just with a simple offer: help rebuilding a life Ethan thought was beyond repair. Training programs, counseling, a future. Ethan didn't accept it immediately. He went home, sat on his small porch with Mia beside him, and watched the sun fall. "What do you think?" he asked her. She smiled softly. "I think you should help people again. And come home to me after." So he did. Years later, the little girl who once screamed in a parking lot grew into a confident young woman who never forgot what courage looked like. And the single dad who once tried to disappear became the man others turned to when fear took over. Because sometimes, a hero isn't found on a battlefield. Sometimes, he's standing beside you in line for ice cream, just waiting for his child's voice to remind him who he really is. If this story moved you, if it reminded you that bravery still exists in quiet people and ordinary places, then show your support right now. Like this video so more people can feel this message. Subscribe to the channel so you never miss stories that restore faith in humanity. And remember, the moment you choose to stand for someone weaker than you, that's the moment you become unstoppable.